Good evening. It's good to see all of you here tonight. It's been a beautiful day. If you're visiting with us, we appreciate you coming and spending some time with us in our Bible class, our midweek Bible class. And I just have really just one thing to tell you. You need to know that Jesus prayed for you. Jesus prayed for you. All the way back when he was alive, Jesus knew about you. He took the time to stop and pray for you. You know, oftentimes today we'll have people come up to us, especially the ones that know you're a Christian, and say, hey, can you pray for me? My mother's sick, or I got a friend that's going through this, or a family member that's going through that. Can you pray for me? You know, so of course we say, yeah, we'll pray for you. Or we'll put you on the prayer list, or whatever the case might be. You know, prayer is often undervalued, but Jesus valued it immensely. You know, he is our example in everything that we do. And when it came to service, he was our example. When it came to love, he is our example. And when it comes to prayer, he is our example. In John chapter 17, it's pretty much a whole chapter of Jesus praying. First, he prayed for himself, and then he prayed for his disciples. And then he prays for everybody else, the ones that are after. And this is what he says. He says, I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. So the word that the apostles taught and the believers taught all the way through time, from the time that Jesus was here, that's who he's praying for. All those that believe in me through their word. Verse 21. That they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me. See, he's talking about the unity here today. He's not just talking about unity a couple hundred years after he lived, a couple hundred years after the last apostle died. He's talking about everyone that believed in him through their teaching. And that includes us today. So when we think about unity, you know, Jesus is saying a prayer that we will be unified. Verse 22 says, and the glory which you gave me, I have given them, that they may be one, just as we are one. I and them, you and me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me, and have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I desire that they also, whom you gave me, may be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory which you have given me, for you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, the world has not known you, but I have known you, and these have known that you sent me, and I have declared to them your name, and will declare it, that the love which you loved me may be in them, and I in them. Jesus knew the value of going to God in prayer. He knew the value of his Father's will over his own. He knew that he needed his Father. In the Garden of Gethsemane, on his last night there, when he brought the disciples with him, and he said, sit here while I go over here and pray. And he fell face down on the ground and he prayed to his Father. That's how much stress he was under. That's the kind of mental anguish that was going to his brain. He was going through all the human emotions so he could relate to us. He went through all those emotions so that we would have no excuse to not believe in him. By saying, oh, well, you don't know how I feel. You've never been human. Well, he has been. And he knows exactly how we feel. In fact, he was so stressed out, because you know how we get stressed today. It's mostly from situations we've created ourselves. But in his case, he was stressed out because of the situation that, well, was created for him. And he knew that he had to walk the walk. In fact, he stressed so much that his sweat was as thick as drops of blood. And that's pretty powerful. He prayed, Lord, if it can be done, take this cup from me. But not my will, but your will be done. So he believed and practiced doing his Father's will. Jesus is the ultimate example in everything that we do. whether we're worshiping, whether we're serving, whether we're praying, whatever the case, whatever we're doing, Christ is our example. He's also our best example when it comes to obedience. We have a responsibility to learn the truth. We have a responsibility to take the truth to others and teach them. But it all starts by obeying ourselves. We talk about the gospel a lot. We talk about, that Jesus was on the earth and he came to the earth. And, he died for our sins. He was buried and rose again. We talk about that. But do we understand really what Jesus did there? He didn't just go through the motions. He suffered because he knew that there was not going to be another way for us, people that didn't even know him, that were not there with him. He was our only hope to get to heaven, and he knew that. He's our best example of love. He's our best example of obedience. When we talk about the gospel, we talk about how it needs to be obeyed. It's not something you can just read and say, okay. It requires an act of obedience. So when we think about that act of obedience, we can go to the book of Acts and we can look at the many examples of conversion in that book and how they all resulted in baptism. At some point during those lessons, during those teachings, baptism came up. For some reason. You got to think God thought it was pretty important, or he wouldn't have put it in there. And Peter makes it pretty clear what baptism is for. That's so we can have remission of sins, which means our sins can be taken away. And that's what's offered to anyone here tonight that needs to have their sins taken away. Jesus is praying for you. He prayed for you. He wants you to come to him. If you believe in him, his blessing will be on you.